What's up, Brodies? Okay, so I'm not gonna hold y'all for too long, maybe like 15 or 20 minutes, but I just have we'll see if that actually happens. But but I just have to get on here and finally kind of like speak my piece, about how I feel when it comes to this Kendrick headlining the Super Bowl in 2025, right? And I feel like a lot of people were quick and in general are like really quick to just speak about things as soon as they come out because obviously it's hot topics. And so, the quicker you put it out, the quicker you get responses and, people come to your stuff and the numbers and the algorithm, all that stuff, right? It goes up. I don't really care too much about that. Like at this point, my page is like a diary. Right? And so I am the type of person that I don't always like to just jump into the mix and speak about things that I'm not fully informed about because there's a lot of times where I could be wrong or I learn new information and then I'm like, oh, didn't know that. Okay. Got to take that back. And, I'm the type of person that doesn't like to necessarily admit that I'm wrong. So I try not to be wrong. Right. But when I am wrong, I admit it. I know how to take accountability. It's just, I try to not put myself in that position. So I just had to sit back, listen to some opinions, get into a little bit of conversation with people who oppose, who agree, just so I could flesh out how I really felt. And like, if it was still on my spirit, then I would make this and post it, right? And so here we are. Uh, so I just want to like really, I don't know. I want to break down how I feel about all of this. But before we do that, if you are not a roadie, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, y'all. Buckle up, strap in tight, baby, because when I'm behind the wheel, you never know where we may end up next. And I hope you're still here by the end of this video because I understand that when you're not on one side fully, people are not feeling it. It's either you get one group and one group only, right? It feels like there's not people that really meet in the middle and they're like, oh, yeah, I can not like that, but also like that, right? I don't know. So as I speak, right, I'm gonna have Kendrick playing in the background. Not You're not gonna hear nothing. You're gonna hear me, but like visually, there's something for you to watch, and it's gonna be probably a mixture of Kendrick at Flognaw in 2023 performing, and Kendrick performing at his tour for Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I'm not quite sure which one I wanted to do, so it may be both or it may be one. Hopefully, you can figure it out. That could be a game you play while you listen. And I feel like this is perfect because it shows you a little bit. Like, I've seen Kendrick more than just these two times, right? But, like, I hope that this gives you some kind of trust that I truly love Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite rappers of all time. He always has been. I really respect and admire Kendrick. I say my we won't go there. That's not what this video is about. Okay. But like, I really, 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 really love Kendrick. I will go see Kendrick anytime he's in a city near me, anytime he's touring, anytime he's performing, and there's something I want to see, I'm going to see it. No matter how cringe I may feel some of the content is, I'm going to still listen. Okay, I'ma still watch him because I truly believe that Kendrick is one of the greatest performers of all time. Rap performers and performers in general, but rap performers for sure. He is one of the greatest rap performers of all time. And that's actually a perfect segue into my next point, which is I absolutely believe that Kendrick Lamar deserves to be a Super Bowl headliner, performer, halftime show performer person. Right? I absolutely feel like Kendrick deserves that, right? His discography is there. I don't care what you say. Kendrick's discography is there. He has all the material to be able to put us on a 15-minute journey of Kendrick Lamar. Don't play with it, all right? The legacy is there. His numbers, the awards, the longevity is there, okay? When it comes to his performance ability, it's a hot mic, baby, and he gonna huff and puff and he gonna do what needs to be done. And when I say huff and puff, I mean like he's working, he's moving. But the way it sounds when it coming out that mic, baby, is crisp. He's doing what needs to be done. Don't play on his mother name, okay? And the creativity and execution is beyond this level. Okay, when I talk about best rap performers of all time, like this is me and my generation and just what I have seen. I'm gonna have to give it to Kendrick and Tyler. Really, they fighting for top two, right? Them niggas be performing. Okay, you can't play with them. So I really and truly believe that Kendrick is absolutely deserving of this spot. Hands down, there's nothing that I need to argue about, okay? And I'm sure I'm missing some things, right, that fit him in the criteria of like why he should be a Super Bowl headliner, right? These reasons alone are enough to dead the rhetoric that Kendrick cannot headline the Super Bowl halftime show. It's dead. It's dead in the water, baby. Nobody's listening to you. Nobody's listening to you because it's just not true. Like Kendrick will absolutely kill it when it comes to performing at the Super Bowl. Now, when I make this pivot, this is where folks are going to completely forget all the praise, adoration, flowers, tens I gave Kenny. Folks are going to get amnesia because I'm not about to take this 110% Kenny approach, right? The people are going to be like, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. Well, fight me in the comments. Y'all know I'm always game for that. Okay? So, with that being said, maybe unpopular opinion, I would have preferred for it to have been Lil Wayne. Say hello to the niggas in the back. I would have preferred for Lil Wayne to headline the Super Bowl halftime show. Yeah, Lil Wayne should have did it. Lil Wayne should have absolutely been it. If you had asked me to pick the first solo rapper to perform at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, Wayne would have been the first name that came out of my mouth. Absolutely. Like, and maybe again, that might be my age. That might be my love for Wayne, who I think is absolutely one of the greatest rappers of all time. There's no argument there. You can't fight me on it. I think he's absolutely greater than Kendrick. Hey, fight me in the comments. Okay. But yeah, absolutely. And that's why this conversation really isn't about Wayne versus Kendrick. Right, and who deserves it more, even though I have my opinions on that, right? But this is simply a rebuttal to those people who are like discrediting Wayne's career or minimizing his impact and manipulating the narrative to make it seem like Dwayne motherfucking Michael Carter can't successfully and epically headline the Super Bowl in 2025. Like, it's cap, it's crazy, and it's it. You sound silly. Okay, now where I want to start and where I kind of want to leave this point at, because I don't want this to be about that, right? But I want to start it here. I'm going to leave it here. That's all I'm going to say, because there are so many valid reasons for my support of Wayne and why him being just Wayne is enough. But this point is key, and honestly, it's like the biggest piece of the puzzle, and in some ways, maybe the only piece. The beef with Drake is what boosted Kenny's appeal, okay? And it made him the best choice to bring eyes to the NFL and the Super Bowl, okay? Kenny has, even though it's not my favorite song, the hottest song of the year. At least one of them, right? It's a big song. It's huge. And he has one of, if not the greatest, most legendary rap beef of all time, okay? And he's got Jay on his side. With them three, you're going to always win. Okay? You got the hottest song of the year. You're in one of the most legendary rap beefs of all time. And you got Jay-Z, the person who is curating these Super Bowl halftime performer headlining thing. You know, whatever. Super Bowl headliners, right? Kenny is going to do the Super Bowl. He's absolutely going to do the Super Bowl. And I'm going to get back to that point on Jay in a second. But I really don't believe that Kendrick getting this, moment has anything to do with his ability or his discography or his talent or his legendary status. Really, whatever, even though Kenny absolutely meets all the criteria, right? But ultimately, I really just think this is a matter of the right place, right time, and is bringing in a bunch of money, right? It is bringing in buku money, baby. That is what it is. It don't got nothing to do with what Kendrick has to offer, except for this beef and him being the winner, right? And I'm putting winner in air quotes, right? Him being the winner. So that's really all it is. And that's a business standpoint. I completely understand it. Do I agree? No, but I get it. I get it. So I'm not mad about it. I'm absolutely not mad. Now, I do want to circle back to the point that I made about Jay, right? And believing that he's Team Kenny, because Wayne could have easily done the Super Bowl, right? And brought out Drake and had the world in shambles, okay? But he chose, again, the winning side. And I say winning in air quotes, right? He chose that side. And for the culture and socially and the culture, okay? Kendrick won. Kendrick won. And so absolutely Jay is going to pick the cultural winner. Probably if Drake would have won in air quotes, if maybe that should be the air quote, if he had lost. Listen, I'm trying so bad not to be biased that I can't even speak, okay? But I think if Drake had won culturally, he would probably be offered the Super Bowl performance next year or this year's season, right? Even though it has been said that Drake has actually been offered to perform at the Super Bowl a couple times, and he's turned it down since Jay's, like, I don't know, let's call it a residency, right? This 5-year residency. So, yeah, I mean, if he's already turned it down, what does that say? Okay. Um, but yeah, I mean, big as the what? Big as the what? But ultimately, let me stop. Get off track. I'm get off track. Ultimately, this is about capitalizing off the beef. Period. And if it isn't, then Kenny won't perform Not Like Us. Right? If it's not about that and it's really just about giving Kenny his tens and like wanting to celebrate, and I think as a Kenny fan personally, and maybe again this might be mixing in my bias that I don't like Not Like Us, even though I understand it's a bop. I get that, but like I just don't like the song content wise. I don't bump it like that. I can't. But like as a fan, I would be like, you know what? To show you niggas that Kendrick does the thing, even before this beef, because that's a lot of people's critique, on the Team Drake side, is like nobody was listening to Kendrick, nobody cared about Kendrick, nobody, and in some ways I get the argument. We got to go deeper in that, but again, that's not the point of this video. But like, I think that I wouldn't want him to perform it because it'd be like, yeah, and he ate. And he didn't have to play that song. He didn't have to play none of the beef songs because at the end of the day, Kendrick discography is it. It does what needs to be done and do. That he doesn't need to play Not Like Us, right? But I think contractually, and the reason that he's here is to play Not Like Us, and so he has to play that song. And that will, to me, that'll prove to me that that's the reason he's here. Absolutely. No, it don't matter. Nothing else. None of his abilities. Kendrick is there to play that song and do that thing because he was the cultural winner. Period. That's it. And so that really, like, now I've got the obvious reason of why Kendrick is doing the Super Bowl and why I'm not mad about it, because I understand it and I get it. Like, we got that out the way. Really and truly, there's no argument to be had. But really, I'm here to like debunk some of the myths and rhetoric, right, that y'all are creating in opposition to Wayne performing. I think that's where this gets irritating and it starts to bother me, is like the way in which it seems like people are discrediting Wayne and discrediting his ability as a performer and as a legend and as a relevant artist to be able to perform at the Super Bowl in 2025. Right? Like, that's what's bothering me. And so I did my research, right? I had to look up the things and see what I was talking about before I jumped on this internet and started opening my mouth. And so there's some things that I feel like really debunk a lot of all of the stuff that y'all are talking about. So the first debunking I want to tap into is why didn't Lil Wayne perform at the Super Bowl the other 10 times that the Super Bowl was in New Orleans? Now, this is where I realize that a lot of y'all are really just like taking things and running with it, right? You're not doing any type of research. You're not doing any type of digging at all, right? You're just taking what you hear and you're running with it, right? So let me cook for a second. Let me cook, okay? The Hot Boys were established in 1997, okay? The Block is Hot, Wayne's debut album, right, was released in 99. Okay? Super Bowl 31 was in 97. So did y'all think that the NFL was going to run to Holly Grove? Right? Did y'all think that the NFL was going to find Wayne and the Hot Boy Juvenile all them down in they cars selling CDs out the trunk and saying, we want you to perform at the Super Bowl this year? It wasn't going to happen. It wasn't gonna happen. It wasn't gonna happen. So that Super Bowl X, right? Then we have Super Bowl 36. That was in 2002. So that would be mental math, 3 years, 99, 98, or 2000, 2001, 2002. Yep, 3 years. That would be 3 years after Wayne's solo album, his first solo album, right? And 5 years after the Hot Boys were established. Y'all thought Wayne was going to be doing the Super Bowl? And in 2002, they did a tribute to the fallen or lost lives of 9/11. Y'all thought Wayne was going to do the Super Bowl? Stop playing. Stop playing, okay? And then the next Super Bowl was in New Orleans until 2013, right? Where are y'all getting 10 times? Where are y'all getting 10 times that Wayne would? There was only one time that Wayne was eligible, and that was in 2013. And I'm going to be honest with you in this. It was Beyonce, right? Beyonce, she brought out Destiny's Child. Beyonce, 9 months later, put out the self-titled album that would change the way in which we receive music today. The way in which the music industry is ran today was based off Beyonce in December of 2013. Okay? As much as I give the queen her tens, I know Beyonce had a huge part to play in being that Super Bowl performer in 2013 to roll out. Not even roll out because she didn't do a rollout. It was a surprise. But I feel like there was something very calculated about her being in the Super Bowl that year or being the headliner that year. Absolutely. 1,000,000%. You can't tell me otherwise. And so I just don't think that Wayne was beating Destiny's Child and Beyonce. It just wasn't going to happen. It just was not going to happen, period, point blank. Even though that would have been the perfect time, because I feel like what had just came out? Was it Carter 4? Is that my one with She Will and Abortion? We in the belly of the beast. That's one of my favorite Wayne albums. I love that album. But anyway, that would have been the perfect time. That absolutely would have been the perfect time for Wayne to have performed. But it didn't happen. And let's also note that there was Kendrick next year will be the first solo rapper to perform at the Super Bowl ever. Ever. Right? Okay. So Wayne had a lot to fight up against in 2013. I'm going to be honest with you. And a lot of people are saying, well, why weren't people arguing, even though they're saying the other 10 times? But let's just say, why weren't people arguing for this one? Well, we also don't have social media. We didn't have social media like that at that point. Instagram had came 2 years prior. So I just don't think that we would have heard the critiques like that. We would have heard it face to face. I was living in New Orleans actually at the time, but I was doing a lot, so I don't even remember what would have been said at that point. But like, I just the way in which we blurt out how we feel, and the whole world is able to put their take on how things are happening socially and culturally all at once, and so it makes it a big boom. I just don't think it was the same. Like, it wasn't the same at that time, so we don't really know how the world felt about that or how people really felt about that, and being able to move culture and shift culture just based on social media. Even though, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like Twitter was still a thing, Facebook was still a thing, but I just don't think it was ingrained in our lives in the way that it is today. Yeah. Okay. So y'all got to cut the narrative of like Wayne could have performed at the Super Bowl 10 times before this, because that's just not true. There was one time that he was able to. And I feel like this was the moment, because if Jay-Z is truly in charge of curating the Super Bowl headliners, I believe that this would have been an amazing moment to give Wayne and New Orleans artists a chance to bring the world to New Orleans. Just like Usher did bring the world to the A, even though he was in Vegas, but Vegas made sense because that's where he was doing his residency, right? So it still made sense, right? And he still brought the world to Atlanta, right? Even though he wasn't in the A, he brought the A to Vegas and he brought the world to the A. Okay, he put the A in our living rooms, right? And we lived our lives, our best lives, because Usher's performance probably one of my favorite of all time. I ain't gonna cap with you, but I say that to say like just like in LA, what year was that? That was 2021, 2022. 2022 when they had everybody come out to the SoFi Stadium and it was Snoop, it was Dr. Dre, it was Kendrick, and then you had Mary J. Blige and you had Eminem and then a little moment for 50 Cent, right? But they literally built like Inglewood, they put Compton, they put big staple places, they built a whole makeshift city in the stadium and brought the world to LA in LA and with LA artists. And so that seemed to be a moment where it's like, oh, Jay is really doing something. If this is the case, he's giving people a moment to rep their city, rep their hometowns in their hometowns. So I would honestly say we need to start critiquing only the 5 years that Jay has been in charge and doing the thing, right? And he did it for them. So I don't see why he wouldn't do it in New Orleans for Wayne, right? I don't want to speculate what that could be. I don't want to speculate that there's beef or there's this or there's that, whatever, what have you. All I'm saying is like it would have made sense and it would have been okay for Jay to do, especially seeing that the Super Bowl is going to be in LA again in 2 years. Now, is Jay in charge of that or is he still going to be curating? Because I think the 5 years is up. I don't think so. Maybe not. But like still, I think that if Kendrick is as big as he is, and the way in which he's showing us that the industry is behind him, as long as it's against Drake, really, but like is behind him, he could have had a moment to be able to solo headline, right? But he wanted to be the first. They wanted him to be the first one, not Wayne, clearly. And so I just think that that's interesting. And I think that it was possible. And I think it would have sold. I absolutely think it would have sold. But I think that that also goes ahead and moves me into Super Bowl themes, location versus performer, that argument, right? Like a lot of people are saying that the location of the Super Bowl does not dictate who the performer is, and that performer also being from the same location, right? So the headliner's hometown does not always line up with the city in which the Super Bowl is being held. That is true. It's not always the case. However, it's been the case many times in New Orleans. Did you know? All right. So if you didn't know, the Super Bowl used to have themes, right? And so I'm just going to give you the New Orleans Super Bowl themes when they've had them. 1970, tribute to Mardi Gras. 1972, salute to Louis Armstrong. 1978, from Paris to the Paris of America. That featured New Orleans players and instrumentalists. In 81, it was a Mardi Gras festival. Southern University Marching Band performed. In 1990 was a salute to New Orleans. Louisiana instrumentalists again, featuring Miss Irma Thomas, who is from New Orleans. Okay? And then we have in 1997, the Blues Brothers Bash, which the Blues Brothers have nothing to do with New Orleans, right? But I think it's more so like New Orleans being like the mecca of rhythm and blues in a way, and like being a place for that, right? Like it makes sense, right? You see that they correlate. You see the correlations, right? And then in 2002, the last theme that the Super Bowl had, which was a tribute to the fallen and lost lives in 9/11. Right? So that's what that tribute was. And then from then on, they no longer really did themes, at least from what my research showed. So as you can see, from 1970 all the way through to 1990, I'm not going to count 1997, the Blues Brothers Bash, because them niggas wasn't from New Orleans, right? Or Louisiana, period. But like every Super Bowl that happened from 1970 to 1990 was themed around the city of New Orleans, and it also featured New Orleans artists. And then I'm going to even throw in Beyonce in 2013 because Mama Louisiana, you mix that Negro with that Creole, makes a Texas Bama, right? Let's not play like Beyonce doesn't rep New Orleans heavy. Let's not play like she didn't have a whole moment where she made a whole music video surrounded around Katrina and the flood and police brutality and all. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me, right? So there is that correlation. And I'm also trying to figure out why everybody's starting this timeline at 93. And I think it's because whoever was has been circulating this little uh, spreadsheet that they created made sure to make the rhetoric make sense, right? The myth to make sense. So we're gonna stop it right before 3 years before the last time they did a New Orleans Super Bowl that had New Orleans players, right? People from New Orleans and the city of Louisiana. Ooh, I'm going in on this point, y'all. But I'm just saying, right? Like, it just, that's not true. It has aligned many times. Actually, every time they performed in New Orleans, every time except for Beyonce's year, and I'm gonna say it makes sense that it didn't happen in 2002, right? Because we were celebrating or mourning, excuse me, but also celebrating the lost lives of 9/11. And then the Blues Brothers bash. I'm not going to count that, but like blues, I get it. So stop. Stop with the rhetoric that they've never matched and it's not a thing. Because it is. It is a thing. It has been a thing for over, what is that, 20 years. 30, hell, I'm counting Beyonce, 40. Shit, 50, 60. It's been happening. So stop lying. Stop lying. All right? So now I want to move into another point, which is women lie, men lie. But baby, numbers don't. Numbers don't! Baby, Wayne's Billboard entries go like this. Number ones, he has 3. Top 10s, he has 25. Total entries, he has 186. Kendrick, his Billboard entries look like this. 4 number ones, 15 top 10s, and 75 total entries. Now, again, 75 is no small feat. Okay? Kendrick is still doing the thing. But compared to 186, babes, yeah, no. Lil Wayne absolutely has the credentials to be a Super Bowl headliner. And when we're talking about relevancy, there's some people up on that stage that are not relevant to today. The Who, what was their relevancy? No shade, no tea. No shade, no tea. But the Who could have been selling at that time like that, like big, 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 big. I mean, U2, they've been going strong for years. So Coldplay rather, okay. But the Who, Madonna then did it a couple times. The relevancy to me, not everybody is that relevant. Rihanna, to me, Rihanna wasn't relevant, especially musically. Rihanna was not relevant, but we put her ass up there. Okay? I don't think that relevancy necessarily matters when it comes to the Super Bowl. However, I understand where it comes into play with Kendrick being in it, but everybody's argument that Wayne isn't relevant. Wayne doesn't have the credentials or the legacy, the status, the songs, the music, all that. Everybody trying to discredit Wayne and his status. I I think it's nonsense. I don't need to expand much at all about this. The versatility that Wayne possesses in his discography alone far surpasses everything that Kendrick has put out. Everything. Full stop. He transcends generations and genres, okay? In many ways, Wayne is the blueprint, right? No shade, no tea. Wayne is the blueprint. So I just think everybody talking about what is Wayne gonna perform, what's he gonna have to offer. All of that is it sounds like you're showing your age maybe, and maybe you're just not as informed on hip hop and artists and music and things like that. And like I think maybe you should do a little bit more digging before you start speaking, right? I could tell you some songs. I'm not even gonna say off the dome, right? I made a little list right here that Wayne could perform. Go DJ, Fireman, Mr. Carter, Got Money, Tie My Hands. That one was my brother's idea. Shaquille, he said immediately when I told him, he was like, Tie My Hands should be his last song, which is perfect, okay? Mrs. Officer, Let the Beat Build, Lollipop, On Fire, We Be Steady Mobbing, Drop the World, 6 foot, 7 foot, A Millie, How to Love, Mirror, Rich as Fuck, Love Me, No Worries, Surf Swag, I'm Single, okay? I don't even know how many that is. I didn't even count just now. But like, that's that alone. Stop playing. And that's not even features. Though. Like they have features, but those are Wayne songs specifically, not even songs that he's featured on other people's stuff. 186 total entries on the Billboard. Come on. Y'all really gonna cap with me and say Wayne can't do the Super Bowl? He doesn't have the material to do the Super Bowl? He's not relevant enough to do the Super Bowl? Nah, can't get behind that one. That one's whack. Um, so I'm gonna leave that at that. I want to focus now on performance ability. Y'all, too many times the performers haven't been doing crazy stunts, antics, live vocals, none of that, okay? And I'm going to stay relevant and say, at Super Bowl 56 in 2022, I know you didn't think Miss Mary J. Blige, her mic was hot. I know you didn't think that. I know you didn't think that. And no shade to Snoop, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't either. I don't think so. 50 Cent's mic was on, but he was huffing and puffing and not in a great way, right? Okay. Riri was pregnant as hell and couldn't do much at all, right? And they ended up doing what? Building a set around her, right? They built the infrastructure, they brought the dancers, they brought the everything that was needed to heighten her performance for what she couldn't do, right? But you know what? Saying all of that, and I know it was a critique and it sounded maybe like, I'm trying to bash them. But my point in that is we all appreciated the nostalgia of it, right? We danced in our homes, we sang along, we vibed out, we lived our best lives enjoying these artists, right? Despite their lack of relevancy in the music industry at the moment, right? But with Wayne, he's got to give what to deserve to perform? What is it that y'all want me to? What is it? What hoops does he have to jump through to entertain y'all? What hoops does Wayne have to jump through to entertain y'all? That is my question. What is it that y'all are looking for him to do? I don't understand what kind of performance are you expecting. Are you expecting him to dance, run around, do this, do that, do put. He could do a track in the background. But I mean, in the past 2 years, didn't he perform at Rolling Loud? 2 to 5 years, I don't know. He performed at Rolling Loud and did his thing. You don't think he could have prepared for it? If I'm being honest, rumor was no shade to Riri because I love Rihanna, right? But like I heard, she wasn't showing up to rehearsals like that. I mean, now she was pregnant, so obviously she was trying to take care of her body and her health. But I'm just saying, y'all were okay with it then. So now you're saying Wayne doesn't perform that well, and he's huffing and puffing, and he's not doing this, and he can't do that. Da, 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 da. Well, baby, I've seen it happen before on the Super Bowl stage, and they were still given a opportunity to perform, right? And then some people, I want to add too, people talking about his music isn't appropriate. Neither is Kendrick's. I know y'all didn't think Kendrick's music was family appropriate. I know you didn't. All the stars don't count. All the stars don't count, baby. He not gonna sing that 10 times. He's not playing that back to back to back 10 times. Okay? He's not playing all the stars 10 times. So anything else he's playing is not gonna be appropriate for the kids. Not Like Us is definitely not appropriate for the kids. The baby shouldn't be dancing to that, but we're gonna leave that there. But yeah, that's really where I really want to land all this. That was a long rant to just really say, like, I think that Wayne could have performed. I think he could have. It's not. I don't feel as like hurt by it as I did when it first, came out. That Kendrick was performing, and I think that I can say for sure that I was a bit bitter, right? Just because of how I felt about Kendrick during this whole beef and how he's navigated, right? That I felt some kind of way, like, ugh, he getting another thing, really? Like, y'all really aiming it, y'all really, right? I can admit that for sure, absolutely. But I also just looked at it as a point of like, I really love Wayne. I really love Wayne. I love Wayne's music. Wayne's music is very integral. It's integrated into my life when I was a kid, like growing up. That was Wayne's album is one of the first albums I popped in my car when I first got a car at 15, right? Like I live for Wayne. And so I felt like just like with Usher, which I love that performance of just nostalgia. And y'all seen if you haven't, go check out my video. of me live reacting to Usher's performance, right? I wanted that again with Wayne. And I think that this was the moment that he could have did that, and Kendrick could have had his moment in 2 years. But they wanted Kendrick to be the first, and I think that a lot of it is also maybe in spite of Drake and Young Money, and I think that they know that Wayne probably would have brought out Drake, would have brought out Nicki, probably would have had a Young Money moment, a Young Money reunion, right? It would have been a whole thing, which is legendary as cunt, right? But they weren't gonna have that. They wasn't. They was gonna stop that because at this moment in time, Kendrick is winning. Kendrick is the culture. Kendrick is going against the person in the industry that everybody hates. And so we're going to lift him up, and we are not going to give an opportunity to people who would rather see the other man shine in any kind of positive light, right? So that's where I am with it. That's my rant. That's my truth, and I'm sticking to it. Right? I think I've thought about it enough. I think I've meditated on it enough, and conversed with enough people to really feel strong about the fact that I think that Kendrick deserves to be a Super Bowl halftime headliner. But I also think Wayne does. I absolutely think Wayne does, and I absolutely think that his legacy is enough to earn him a spot. And I think all the different things that people are trying to come up with as far as reasons as to why he shouldn't be a Super Bowl performer or why people are wrong for feeling the way that they do are bullshit. I feel like it's all bullshit. I feel like it's all bullshit. And it's either people being on polar ends of the spectrum. Either you hate Kendrick, so you're gonna ride behind Wayne, or you hate Drake and you're gonna ride behind Kendrick. And because Wayne is associated with Drake, you're gonna go all in on Wayne not being a performer, a Super Bowl performer, a headline performer. Like I see it, and I appreciate the people who live in the middle. I appreciate the people who can see like both people deserve to be headliners. Both people can do the job. I think one would do exceptionally well, but I also think one would touch and pull on the heartstrings of a generations of people, and people would have an Usher moment. People would have that moment of just jamming out in their houses, turned up at the bar. We still play Wayne at the club. People are still the money is the motive. Fuck with the money, it get ugly as coyote. Okay, I reloaded, better pull it if you throw it. I pop a pound, break it down, put it in a stogie. Swagger so right, I don't even. Yeah, come on. We're still listening to Wayne to this day. Come on. So yeah, I would love for people to live in the world of like both can be true. Wayne can be a performer. Kendrick can be a performer. Wayne could have probably have been Wayne's moment, and Kendrick could have had another moment because he's already had one at the Super Bowl to begin with. So he could have had his moment in 2027, right? But it is what it is. It's what's done is done. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to let this live. Hopefully y'all stuck around. If you did, I love y'all so much. And I'm gonna be going to Andre 3000 in a couple of days. I get a meet and greet like Q&A with him, so hopefully you check out that video because that's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be if you don't know, Outkast is my favorite rap group and rap person of all. I know it's two people, but it's hard. I don't want to ever say like just my favorite rap group, right? They are my favorite rapper. If I'm combining them and making one super nigga, right? They are my favorite. And so to see Andre and meet him and talk to him, and I love Big Boy just the same. I want to note. But I like to just have this moment. It's going to be like amazing. And so stick around because I'm going to be making a video about that. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up and comment and let me know how y'all feel about my opinion. It's smoke. We can always do that in the comments if you like. So I'm a beast on the keyboard for sure. So y'all let me know how y'all feel about this, and I will catch y'all on the next one. All right, roadies. I'll talk to you soon. Later.